Hello and welcome to this Python activity, Making Exceptions. In this activity, we will be given some lines of code that may contain bugs. These bugs will cause our code to be interrupted and print out an error. Our goal is to use try except blocks rather than changing the starter code to log the error and keep the code running until the end of the cell. Let's first open our starter code. Here we can see our given code. Without digging too deep, it appears that these are just some simple print statements. Let's try running the cell and see what happens. As soon as we run the cell, we immediately encounter an error that stops our code from continuing. Looking at the error message, it appears that we are getting a zero division error on line 5. As we know from our math classes, bad things happen when you try to divide by zero. This will never be able to work. So instead of changing the code, we are going to use a try except block to handle our error. We start by typing the keyword try on the line above our first print statement. We then indent the code we want to try to run, the print statement. Then we type the keyword except followed by the error we wish to look for. We know we expect a zero division error to occur from the error message, so that is what we will use for the exception. We then want the logger error so we know that it happened. This is done by indenting what we want to happen when we encounter the zero division error in the except block. We will print out, whoops, can't do that, when we encounter the zero division error. Let's recap what the try except block is doing. We are first attempting to do whatever is inside the try block. In our case, we are trying to print out a message that divides by 0, which we know won't work. So when we encounter the zero division error, our code then goes to the exception block and runs whatever is inside it. As a quick note, you can have as many lines of code inside the try and except blocks. It does not have to be just a single line like our current example. Let's now run the cell again and see if we handled the error correctly. We now see that we print out whoops, can't do that, indicating that we encountered a zero division error and caused the except block to be executed. We handled our zero division error correctly and allowed the code to continue running. However, we still have another error in our code. This appears to be a different error than the one we had above. Looking at the error message, we can see that it is a name error this time, and it says, name error. Name is not defined. Checking out the print statement, we can see that we are trying to print out a variable called name, but name is not defined anywhere in our code, so it does not exist. Instead, we are going to use try and except to handle the error and keep the code running. We will again embed our original print statement in the try block. Then for the except block, we will specify that we are looking for a name error this time, and will print out a message logging that we forgot to define the name variable. Run this cell again, and you should receive a new error this time, as well as both of the print statements we embedded in the above except blocks. Moving on to the next error we need to handle, we can see that it is a value error this time. Looking at the print statement, we can see that this is because we are trying to cast a string with alphabetical characters as an integer. This will not work. If we think about it logically, what number should Gabriel evaluate to? It does not make much sense, and that is why Python is giving us this error. We will again use the try and except blocks. This time, the except will run if it receives a value error. When we get a value error, we will print out our confusion about Gabriel not being a number. Run the cell, and we should not receive any more errors. We even get the final print statement saying we survived the gauntlet. Great work! That finishes up the Making Exceptions Python activity. Thank you for watching.